Hi, welcome back to MPG Trio Reviews, and this time we are reviewing. After a couple of rant videos, we've decided now it's time to go back into the music and finally get some reviews out. What the reason why we started this. So Happy New Year to everyone. I suppose it's still a bit still early enough to say Happy New Year. And of course, I'm joined by Mr. Purple Music.
Yo, Maceo, give me $1.
Mr. Nightchild.
It's going down like the wall of Berlin.
And of course me, Mr. Ant. They want to sue me, but I love them too much. So
and
what
they
are
do
we...
him
and they do all the time, all the time. So what have we decided to start the year with? Well, MPG Trio is going back to the Lotus. Yes, we decided to review incredible Lotusflower, released back in 2009. Absolutely amazing album. And before we get into the music, like we always do, we're going to have a little speak about this little period before, a little chat about what was going on. And, you know, especially around the release, because it wasn't a straightforward release by any means, was it really?
It's Prince. It's Prince. What can you say?
Nothing is straightforward, is it really? So let's start with that. You know, so who wants to go first? Jay?
No pressure there then.
No pressure there then.
I kind of remember at the time, it was quite interesting because I think this is classic of one of those albums where the wider public would really benefit from hearing this. This is all those people who say, oh, you know, Prince's greatest stuff was in the 80s and all this. It just really drives me mad because Prince was pushing it all the time. And this is another example of that. But I do wonder what the kind of recognition of this album is in general circles. I wonder how many people really know about it because it did incredibly well. I remember in America where it was like $11.98 for 3 CDs. Yeah, and you know, it was amazing. I mean, I don't know, in Britain we paid considerably more, shall we say. I think yes. I paid about, me and Mr. Ants were talking, I think I paid about 30 pounds, something like that. But at the time it came out, it was quite interesting because you've obviously got these two albums of Lotusflower and MPLS Sound, and obviously Elixir with Bria Volante. So it's kind of pushed in his package. So he really obviously thought of a way of pushing Bria in the sense of you had to, you know, have this as part of the set. Although there were different configurations, most people end up with the kind of 3 CD set. But I think this is a great classic example. There's so much great material on here, and this is one of those things I would love to know if people, you know, who aren't really, you know, who are general Prince fans but don't know huge amounts, how much this is known, because this I think is kind of criminally overlooked. There's some songs here that I think really stand up in the top Prince songs, you know, that there are.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
I would say this is another example of how important it is that the estate as well make people aware of the breadth of Prince's work, and this is just, you know, a remarkable package, and we'll get into that.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, it was released originally as a download on the 24th of March, which included one different track to the CD, and then it was released a few days later in America, wasn't it? As you say, for £11, whatever, at Target, wasn't it? I think
Target, yeah. Yeah,
had an exclusive deal with it, and then again it was released later on in France.
I think he liked working with Target, didn't he? Because obviously, I think from what I remember, they're kind of Minnesota based, aren't they? And I think he had that kind of connection with them, and getting it out for that price. I mean, you think $11.98. I mean, that's even amazing. Now that's about £8 or £9. That's you would struggle to get a CD for that, let alone, you know, a triple back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What was the deal in the UK with distribution then? What's your recollection of it? Because I have no recollection of it being distributed at all.
Well, I'll just jump in there quickly. As we say, we were talking about this earlier, and I don't remember it having a major or a UK release. I found it in HMV on an import for about 40 quid, and that's how I got it. And that was the 3 CD version, and that was that. So, and when you look it up, any history of it, there's no sort of talk about it being released like that anywhere. Only France and America, which is odd. And then in France as well, it even got released on vinyl. A 2 LP vinyl, but that's worth a bit now.
That's what that is there.
Oh wow, yeah, of course. There you go.
So that came.
That's going on eBay later, folks.
The highest bidder wins. So this beautiful piece of that gatefold vinyl came with both vinyls.
Wow.
and also came with the CDs.
Really?
Oh, that's wow, that's fantastic.
It didn't have Bria Volante because it made it even more worth its money.
Now come on. Now I know. Yeah, you know what's funny about this, because I remember the press release at the time where Prince had said something like, one album was a guitar album, one was like new Minneapolis Sound dance album, and the third one, Bria Volante, was we got tired waiting for Sade to make a new album.
Wow.
So we did our own.
I think I like that idea though, because Prince used to do that when he'd have a new album and he'd create a website just for that album, that project, and he kind of was really passionate about it. And then once the album was out, it was kind of the website just faded away.
Exactly, because that was it, wasn't it? The website launched, didn't it, for the launch of the album the same day?
And it was quite good. I mean, he was quite ahead of that. The problem I think Prince had with a lot of these projects is not so much Lotusflower, but other projects. He was a bit ahead of the curve, and with the internet, he was sort of doing things that people were working out still how to best do. And but the fact he created this whole kind of project at the time, and you got to think about the time it came out, as well, because like I said, it's a couple of years after London and the O2 shows, and a bit after the sort of Super Bowl performance. So I mean, it was still Prince was still in the consciousness, and obviously he went on to Leno, and he did a few promotional sort of, especially with Dreamer. I think Dreamer is one of the great TV performances Prince ever gave. And there's a really high quality definition video of that out there. I'd love the estate to put that out a bit more.
Welcome to the Comedy Channel.
You're a dreamer.
You're one too, you know it.
Even
thing is that would take nothing, would it? I mean, I mean, if they want to, I can always send it to them. I mean, to be fair, we have it. All they got to do is upload it. I mean, no offense, you could upload that. We could have it in about 2 minutes.
Yeah, a high definition video. We know
another lawyer.
Another lawyer, yeah,
presents the bill.
Yeah. Oh dear, we're gonna get another rant here. This is not a rant video.
I find it bloody criminal.
Yes.
Those videos aren't being made available because he was on Leno for that entire week.
That's right. Yeah.
And he did Feel Better, Feel Good. He did Dreamer. He did that other song that was never surfaced. What's the song called?
Purple Rain.
No, Purple Rain. You're hilarious. I've never heard something about this is what it is to feel funky or something.
Okay.
There's a track. Find it, Jay. Find it on the internet.
Is this the one that's it's illegal in 13 states?
Yes, that's the one. Yeah.
That's one of my videos.
That's the probably song that begins. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to type in illegal in 13 states on Google.
No,
this is where we edit here, folks.
Probably.
It's called something about this is what it is to feel.
No, it's not very. Not a very catchy title, otherwise, is it? Illegal in 13 states.
Kind of James
Turn me loose. Turn me loose.
Turn me loose.
Turn me loose. Yeah, it's against the law in 13 states. What I'm going to do to you, oh baby, turn me loose. Yes, yes.
Go hunt that down, Mr. Ants, because that is a track.
That is a tune.
That is better than most of MPLS put together.
I do like Tell Me. I mean, that's another classic, isn't it? And yet, how many people have heard that? How many people can remember that? And us.
Yeah. No, we can't.
No, exactly.
That's one of those things. If you think about it, you can't get it. But I love that.
I only listened to that the other day as part of the research. I went through the Leno files, and I was looking.
Which don't exist, by the way.
Yeah.
I've never heard of. Yeah, I call it that. The Leno files. Yeah.
The Leno files.
It was like Everlasting Now.
Yeah.
And there was loads of tracks that he did.
Old School Company. I think he did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I love that track.
Brilliant.
Love that one.
So
we've got off track already. Cool. Sorry, it's my God.
That's fine.
This is why Mr. Ants earns all the money for editing.
Yeah. Money? I don't know money. I ain't even got a Patreon.
I was going to say you need a Patreon.
Yeah, I've got a Patreon account. I just don't use it.
Patreon.
What we're going to do is just review the first disc, the Lotusflower part of this triple set.
The only disc.
The only disc.
You've offended my Old School Company. You've offended me. I mean, I no more candy for you, Mr.
No more candy for you. He's on fire, man. Because I think it gets better with time.
God.
Hey, Gelantina.
Go give my mama a call. Yeah.
What a great MILF song that is.
Wow. Wow.
He invented the MILF, didn't he, with that song? I mean, that's exactly what he's chatting about, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, I said the tone had fallen. Now it's kind of like.
Yeah.
Right, let's delve into the music on this amazing album. And the album starts with an instrumental. So from the Lotus. So, Mr. Purple Music, what do you have to say about From the Lotus?
Well, what can I say? This track sets up this album perfectly. It's from another galaxy in the way that it sounds. It has this Rainbow Children-esque feel about it. You've got the dream team of Michael B and Sonny T in the background giving it large. It has a perfectly sets up the album, and it intrigues you and draws you in. This, without a doubt, is the best Prince album since 1993-94 era. It has so much going for it. The guitar work on this album is unprecedented, and it's finally what we've all seen and witnessed live is finally now put onto wax, and we can now hear this earthy new sound. This is the strongest release in 20 years from the Prince canon, and this track is just unbelievable, guys.
Wow.
Pass.
Jay.
Wow. So you liked it?
You were talking about Love Sexy, yeah?
It's not in my top 3 or 4 tracks on the album, but it's definitely an 8 out of 10 just for the sheer audacity and musicianship in this track.
That's the thing I really agree with, because I think it's a really brave and quite musically mature thing to do, because he didn't open the album with, like a Let's Go Crazy in 1999 straight out the gate, bang. This was a kind of more mature album. I mean, and the way it kind of it struts along and it's got that jazzy feel. I totally agree with you with the Rainbow Children feel. This has so many elements in his album have that Rainbow Children feel, and musically that was considered one of his greatest albums, and sadly at a time when perhaps not as many people recognized it as they did. So to see this guitar work, as you say, to come out, because you see it live so many times, and sometimes that's a frustrating thing with Prince. It is a phenomenal guitar solo live, and you think, just put that on an album, or he'll cut off a guitar solo on a track, and you think, just let it go on for a bit longer. And I think you're absolutely right. This is a brave opening, and it sets an atmospheric mood, because I think this and the bookend at the end, I think really kind of sets it up as almost like a dreamlike state, like you're trancing into it, and then you have this experience, and then it kind of at the end it kind of you move away from that, and you've had this whole experience. And he was very much into that kind of idea right from the Gold Experience and times like that. And I think that is like I say, a very brave choice and a very different way of opening an album, because it's not trying to open with a hit really. It's just opening up with the kind of a musical intent. So I think say that's somebody who's doing it for the art.
I fell in love with this album. For the moment I heard it, it was everything that I've been wanting from an album. As I said, I see this guy play live, and you could never really recapture what you saw live until this album. Gold Experience definitely had elements of that, and some of the guitar work on Rainbow Children, but this album as a complete piece of music, the sequencing is unbelievable, and I think it all starts off so perfectly well with this track. If you ever want to get somebody new into Prince, this has to be an album that you share with them, because I think it will take a lot of people who are only used to the greatest hits. It will take a lot of people by surprise with how talented a musician this guy really is. And we know that. I mean, Christ, but somebody who's new to it, this will just blow their socks off.
I think that's a really important point, because you take those 2 albums, Lotusflower and MPLS Sound, and there's really not any there's not a lot of fat, if you like. It's really track after track, the quality through that for a double album is pretty immense. And this is just something that Prince does. And also this is a more mature sound. This is a musician's album, I think. Really
that's a really good point.
Good call. Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's one of the first things I noticed about when I played it, like you say, and both of you guys have already said about him live, what you see live, they never quite made it although the records are amazing, but that as you say, that rawness, those guitar solos, always, why don't you ever lay them down on a track, you know, for people to know? And as soon as I put this album on, I was just beside myself. I was like, oh my God, he's done it. He's finally done it. This is a guitar album. I mean, later on we get to tracks like Dreamer, I was just wetting myself. It was just ridiculous. Like, here we go. That's this is what it's all about. Yeah, I know, you know, but no, just absolutely phenomenal. And as you say, a brilliant way to open an album with an instrumental like that. Very Rainbow Children-esque. You are both right with that. It definitely reminds me of that. And as you say, musically, he's just on another level on this album. He really is, as a musician. And it definitely helps having that, you know, Sonny T and Michael B there on a lot of these tracks. I think they were recorded in a long session, weren't they? I think some of these tracks back in 2006 or something, or was that right? Or maybe a bit before. Yeah, just amazing. So absolutely amazing. What a great way to open this album. Let's move on then to one of my favorites, definitely. It's track 2, Boom.
Volcano magic, summertime, we go.
Wow. I mean, I love this. Again, the guitar work, the flailing kind of pouting guitar, and you know, some of the lyrics. I think it's interesting. Like you say, a lot of these songs were around for a few years, and it's interesting. I think this whole package, how he brings it together. There's a right time for this to happen. But again, this is you know, this is strutting guitar. This is something that Prince does so individually. I've never seen someone play the guitar in Prince in the sense that he chooses the right kind of creativity for each project. It's not a case of just doing some showy guitar solo for the sake of it. He does it within you know, the mood of a song. You could say any song and he could just, you know, he could choose the right thing to do, and he just, it's instinctive. It's a talent that you can't teach it. It's just, you know, how it is. But again, this is kind of an interesting song because it's not, you know, something that you think of as a kind of average, you know, pop hit or anything like that. It's just, this is something that's kind of got elements of moodiness and some of the ways you can interpret it, some of the kind of lyrics as well. Just I was reading some of the letters and I'm thinking, some of those things you can interpret a million different ways. I've looked at the lyrics about 10 times and I thought, I still don't know. I still don't know what he's saying, and that's great because you can go back to it and thinking, what is he saying there? Or, you know, you can interpret it a million different ways. So I'd read the lyrics and then
saying about universe and all that stuff, isn't it?
It's full of innuendos and metaphors, isn't it?
Sometimes we go boom. Yeah. What do you have to say about Boom?
I think this track was a real sleeper for me. It wasn't the one that kind of grabbed me by the Lotusflower when I first started. It took a while, and I don't know why, but I think what's interesting about this is it's not a classic pop song. It doesn't have a verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. The concept and the structure of the song is so odd to your ears. You've got so much going on musically with wah-wah pedals, and there's lots of panning from left to right. Fantastic headphone listen, by the way, if you get a chance to do that with a decent pair of headphones that haven't been slung across the floor in anger. One to take your hat off. But, there's one for the is an inside joke there, folks.
It's a joke.
So, the psychedelic tone of this song and the exceptional sound that he's dragged out of this, makes this song a real grower, and it's one that I turned to quite a lot, but I didn't at the beginning. It was a skipper for me at the beginning, just because there were better songs on there that I wanted to get to and learn more eagerly. But now it's this song is just incredible. What's going on in the background of this song with vocals and guitars and layers? There's more layers than a Viennetta. You know what I mean?
It's amazing. You know, it's just amazing, isn't it? The guitar work is amazing.
Was that a different track there, Mr. Ents?
Yeah, that was Dream. That was Dreamer. That one, absolutely amazing. I say I love the psychedelic sound of it as well. The kind of, just as you say, on headphones, it's amazing. It just takes you in, and there's so much going on. It's just incredible, and I love the guitar on it as well. It really is awesome. You know,
different gravy. Yeah,
absolutely, a great track, and that leads in to another interesting track for Prince as well, which is it's another cover version. which I didn't know at the time until after the track came out, and that's Crimson and Clover.
Crimson and Clover.
This is strange because it's kind of a cover with another song thrown in as well.
Yes,
which is strange because it's apparently Tommy James and the Shondells, but it's obviously put Wild Thing. Which I think was written by Chip Taylor, but they said it was made more famous by the Trogs. But that's interesting because the Wild Thing is uncredited. So
I know. Yeah,
I don't know how that happened. I don't know if they settled at some other time or I don't know. But
it's very odd, isn't it? And to sort of join those together like that as well. I mean, why that song? But it works.
It's quite an interesting thing to take a cover and, like you say, it very much fits in with the trippy kind of 60s feel, though. I think with Dreamer and various other tracks, Crimson Clover really pulls in, and he obviously thought something of this because he made sort of the video, and it was something that clearly meant something to him. But it's an interesting choice because I for a long time Prince never released covers on CDs. It was only sort of look at Emancipation before that sort of started. But it works. It's actually interesting because Prince doesn't kind of push the lyrics loudly. A lot of it's quite subdued, and yet it works so well with the melding of those two covers. So I mean, it's actually quite interesting. It's one of those songs you're into the atmosphere straight away, aren't you? And kind of sliding guitars and things like that. I think it's it's catchy, and it's something that Prince would push. Only Prince, I think, would probably he does a cover and then he kind of pushes that cover. He did it with obviously Emancipation with Better by Golly Wow, and
Another Lover,
and here yeah. I mean, it's strange that he not only does covers, but he often makes them focal points of albums.
It's almost as if he's saying I can do it better.
Well, it's funny you should say that. That's exactly what I was about to say. Then, yeah.
I read your notes.
I see you, and I raise it.
I mean, but I love Prince's vocal on this. Actually, his vocal delivery. It's just so smooth. It's so cool. Just and you say it's very light. It's just I hope she walks over. It's just
even that bit before in the Wild Thing bit, just before, you could easily kind of push that loud vocally, but he doesn't. He does it in a subdued way and lets the guitar sort of come in, and he does this kind of like bit with his mouth. Like it's just amazing. It's just great. Yeah.
I love it. It's just it makes you float. It's just amazing. And again, the guitar is just brilliant. I just love the guitar solo at the end of this song as well. It's just amazing. Each track, the guitar solos just get better and better, and you just think, wow.
And it's one of those dreamy songs, isn't it? It's one of those songs where you sort of like you float away and you're very much into the atmosphere straight away. It's very sort of trippy. It's almost a bit trippy in the sense of, I don't know, to a lesser extent a bit, but Raspberry Beret or Paisley Park, it's got that kind of psychedelic feel to that,
Yeah. Graham, what do you think about Broom, Crimson and Clover, not Boom?
I knew the original quite well because I had some golden oldie mixtapes that I did from back in the day, and this was one of the tracks on it. And it was always one of those tracks that interested me or intrigued me because it has this tremolo psychedelic feel to it, this great sound, and I really loved the song. But when I first heard it on Lotusflower, I recognized it instantly, but it's just, as we've all said, it's just been taken to another level. And what's really interesting about the track is the transfer of the live sound. Again, how he's taken that, what we see on stage, and he's transferred it perfectly. Whatever guitar he was using on this album is the sound throughout this album. The consistency of the quality of the guitar work is just second to none. The musicality on this track and the psychedelic feel about it just make this an absolute masterpiece of songwriting.
It's another winner.
It's a brilliant song, but he's just taken it to another level, and they're unrecognizable really in their structure, although they're the same song and they're clearly the same song. But this is a 9 out of 10 for me. This is an incredible piece. What an incredible song. And I love the version on Ellen.
Oh yes,
You get to see the version live on Ellen. So good as well. And he's just got everybody in that crowd just eating out the palm of his hand. And this is a stunning piece of work.
Maybe the estate will release that.
That's a no, don't go there again. That's another video. We're rant free. We're trying to be rant free. Yeah. Okay, let's swiftly move on. A great track, as I say, definitely a 9 out of 10 for me as well. So as we mentioned earlier, there was a track. Yes, the download version had a different track instead of Crimson and Clover. Yes. The morning after. Go on, Jay.
This was kind of strange for me because when it first came out, obviously I got it in the physical format, and I was kind of searching around. And interesting, someone uploaded a video to YouTube. Just an amateur guy made a video, basically his own sort of home video. No. And it was brilliant. It was like basically he was just like, you know, dancing along and sort of acting out the story of the morning after. And I'd heard about it also from the Peach and Black podcast. And they were kind of talking about it, and it's actually quite a fun, upbeat thing. It's kind of fun. It bounces along. It's actually quite a jolly song, and it's interesting that he left that off. Yeah, so in terms of, you know, Crimson Clover, and they kind of interchanged, but it's actually quite a, you know, bouncy, upbeat song. It had a bit of, you know, I could have got a bit more attention. Obviously, a lot of people who bought the physical thing probably may not even be aware. So
yeah.
You know, I don't know what is that. I mean, I don't know.
There's no official explanation as to why it happened, but the only thing I can think of was it was just to make people buy it off the website to download, join the club, basically join the.
I thought, is it that, or then because I thought, is it that, or was it a legal thing? Both. Yeah.
Sorry?
Because why sacrifice Crimson and Clover over this? No disrespect to Morning After, but why would you sacrifice that over that by downloading it? You surely would give it as a bonus.
Yes.
I've resequenced the album, and I include both tracks on my Lotusflower on my iPod, and I think it works perfectly well.
I wonder if there's some, I don't know, I mean, I have no idea, but I wonder if there was some issue that, you know, like I say, with you know, Wild Thing not being credited. I wonder if I mean, I never heard of anything specific, but I wonder if there's some kind of legal issue of download, and they sort of, you know, perhaps he was a bit concerned about that or not. I don't know. But this is, like I say, it's a shame that most people haven't heard it, because I'm sure it could fit on somewhere. And like I say, I always include it when I'm listening to the album anyway. So
same here. Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, well,
I think it's a brilliant little pop song. I think it's very Wendy and Lisa-esque.
Yeah.
You can hear their voices in the background, even though it's Tamar, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I think Tamar guest vocals on this and Forever, but I think it's Wendy and Lisa, Revolution, the one you want to see off the planet Earth. I think
it's got that feel, definitely.
I love that, and I think the guitar solo at the end is really underrated. I think as a really lovely little guitar solo, and it's a brilliant pop song.
And it's quite a short little track as well, isn't it? It's sort of kind of just as it gets going, it finishes.
I mean, it's only about 2 minutes 6, I think, something like that. It's hardly anything.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be slagged off. It shouldn't be discarded. It's a really, really good pop song, and there's probably artists out there that would give their back teeth for something as good as this.
Well, yeah. I've said this before. Yeah, I've said this before. Sometimes Prince, like say, almost buries songs which would make other people's careers, you know. And
it's amazing.
I really like it. It always gets me singing along, and it always makes me happy. I think it's got a nice message.
You can't listen to this and not smile. I'm sorry, it's not possible. It's just not possible. And if you get a chance to see the video, I don't know if it's still on YouTube or probably been taken down, I imagine. But it's just infectious. It's just you walk in the park, listen to that, and you're just, you know, smiling inanely. Yeah. It's great. It's great.
Brilliant.
Just out of curiosity, guys, do you keep Boom and Crimson Clover together because they segue perfectly, and then add Morning After?
Yeah. I do.
Yeah, that was
pretty much. That killed that one, did
short answer. Yeah.
Short answer. Yes. Yeah.
Right. Someone's tired.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, right then. Let's move on to track 4 then. Let's move on. Track 4. Yeah. Right. So we will move on to 4.
MPG act, giving it large. Who do you think?
Yeah, I mean, man. I'll tell you. I don't know. Right. Right. We move on to Forever.
'Cause I got forever.
Come on then, Forever. Come on, guys.
I haven't got a lot to say about this track. I didn't like it when it first was released. It's the one track that doesn't excite me as much as the rest of the album.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I haven't really emotionally attached myself to it. It's the one song that kind of when they teased the album with those 4 tracks, this is the one I thought, oh no, what are we getting here? I don't know. It's just the song that skips the most. It's the song that I score the least out of all the others on the album. However, it's a fantastic headphone listen. There's a lot going on. The background vocals and the layering on vocals of this are probably the best on the album. And it takes a few listens to hear that. So I urge anybody who listens to this video, all 6 of you who watch this video,
that includes us.
Please,
yeah.
Please go and listen to the background vocals and pay specific attention to it. The background vocals and layered vocals and the overdubs on the guitars are probably the best he's ever done on this record. It's got a fantastic feel-good beat. And the bass line from Sonny T is off the scale. I've just slagged it off, but I've just given it so much more than just slagging it off, because actually I've just turned it all around and said it's a 7 out of 10.
Contradiction.
But that's what Prince can do to you.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I'll say to me, it's the kind of wee march of this album. You know,
that's what you've done there.
It's that. I don't know. I like the guitar again in it. It's got a good guitar in it. I like Prince's scream as well. He does it at the end. He goes, you know, sort of near the end of the track.
Can you do that again, please?
No. You get one scream per track, guy.
Wow.
So it's. I don't know. So yeah, it's not my favourite on the track either. On the album, it has got its plus points. I do like, you know, I listen to it. I never skip it. I do listen to the album completion. But yeah, as I say, I think like we said with the Gold Experience, it's because the company that it's keeping, you know, sets it down a little bit. But I mean, Jay, what do you think about Forever?
You said, sorry, Jay, sorry to interrupt. Apologies. You mentioned the Gold Experience there. I read somewhere that the Peach and Black podcast said that they felt this track suited itself better to the Gold Experience. That's an interesting comment, because you can hear elements of the Gold Experience with Dolphin and whatever, or not necessarily Dolphin, but does that make sense? Yeah, it feels like it could belong on there.
Yeah. Interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, possibly.
Interesting. I think the lyrics are actually probably, ironically, the interesting bit. The whole premise of, you know, if I never get to hold your hand, if I never get to be your man, that's okay, because I've got other plans. And it's kind of it's kind of very paradoxical, because half the time he's talking about, you know, if I never get to kiss your lips or feel your hips, whatever, it's okay, I ain't gonna trip. And then he's like talking about, I want to be forever, and eternity is just one kiss away. But then it's like almost like, I want to be with you forever, but if I can't, then right, I've got other things I've got to do, so I'll be off. And it's kind of this interesting paradox, I suppose. Perhaps that's the thing of almost in love, when you kind of really want to be with someone, but you kind of nonchalantly act like, oh no, well, if I can't, then I've got other things to do. Oh, Graham. And it's interesting. It's you know, if you never get to know how much I care, I swear it's not fair. It is that kind of
we never get to take a bubble bath and all this stuff, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's kind of, for me, the interesting is part of that. It's not quite as dark as the rest of the album, or earthy or growling or guitar in that sense.
Is a good word. Yeah.
It's an interesting. I think lyrically, it's quite interesting in the sense of he's conflicted about what he's saying, but perhaps that is the point of, you know, of
push and pull thing. He does quite a lot, doesn't he?
Yeah. It's what does it? Stop looking at me like that, unless you want me to bite that.
That's the best. That's probably the best bit of the track, actually. That's the best. I do like when Prince does that, because he does that. I think it's a track later on where, you know, you can have something quite dark in the background and then have a kind of upbeat thing, and he does juxtapose that like he does with Pop Life or various other things. So
we spoke about that before, haven't we? Where he's got a dark subject, but he will spin it on its head by having an upbeat pop song, and then vice versa. I think it's I think it was on I think 77 Beverly Park, where you got kind of crying in the background and this upbeat. And you're like, it's quite dark and disturbing, like the Purple Rain, and it's a bit even the Purple Rain where he says, you know, it sounds like, you know,
she's laughing.
And it's a whole thing he likes to do, these kind of opposites of love and hate and God and sex, and even though they're not, you know, but he likes that kind of butting together of different ideas, and that's what makes it interesting lyrically.
Absolutely,
very interesting.
Okay, we're going to move on, because the next track is just on another planet. Track 5, Colonized Mind.
Upload revolution principle. We see a rock on the shore and say,
wow, recently a Purple Pick of the Week, chose by the wonderful Peace Love.
She did a great job. She did a fantastic job on that. I must admit, she really she was amazing on that, and she doesn't get enough praise for what she does. I've got to say she's got a real community going there. She's got an amazing community, and she's the personality just comes through. So
absolutely,
I'm a bit in awe of her. So yeah.
Oh,
got a lot of purple love for her.
Absolutely, she's lovely. She is lovely. Yeah. So, Colonized Mind, guys, come on.
Take this, guys.
Go on, take it and run.
So, Colonized Mind is where Colonized Mind is where the album starts. You can chuck the rest of the tracks in the bin.
Right. Okay.
Because there is simply not enough superlatives to say about how bloody good this song is.
It is good.
I sat here and put together my top 10 Prince songs of all time whilst I was thinking about researching this album. And without any shadow of a doubt, it's in the top 5 of my top 10.
Wow.
Ever get bored of hearing this song. And there's always something new about it. Vocally, it's one of his best deliveries. The layers on the vocals and the sound that he gets on the background vocals are probably one of the best he's ever done. The guitar solos, and there are about 57,000 of them, and the noodling, and I hate that word, but I didn't know what else to write.
I love that word. I've written that word here.
And the fills.
It's on my t-shirt,
dinner, mate. That's your dinner.
Yeah,
bachelor.
Super noodling.
And the fills are probably the best he's ever laid down on a piece of wax. I think the lyrics are thought-provoking. I think they're relatable. They resonate. And the arrangement of this song and the way that it builds, it simply leaves me breathless. I cannot believe I was lucky enough to see him play this live.
Wow.
And I could literally have shot myself in the head and never uttered another word because I was done. Stick a fork in me, I'm done. I was done. It's simply a masterpiece. I cannot think of my top 10 were like Shush, Empty Room, If I Was Your Girlfriend, Last December, Joy and Repetition, Love We Make, Beautiful Ones, Love Sexy, The Cross. Tell me why it doesn't fit in that top 10. It's phenomenal.
Wow.
And there you go. Fork, done. It's all yours.
Wow, how can you follow that? It is amazing. And lyrically, like you say, it's so still relevant today, especially the line about a future full of isolated boys and girls. I really see that with the way the world is going at the moment with social media, and in this country as well. There's a lot of bad things happening with kids stabbing each other and God knows what else.
Yeah.
Over the world, but the way that they're isolated from each other because it's all just online all the time and everything.
Watching YouTube videos.
Watching YouTube videos, and stuff like that.
By the physical release, guys, as well, because you mentioned that about downloading a temporary acquisition of fleeting fame and fortune.
Exactly.
And nothing to leave in your will.
Exactly.
And we need to pass on.
They don't realise.
This video, guys, is keeping the legacy alive.
Yes.
We need to pass this stuff on. It's all right, all well and good downloading disposable pop crap, but
you don't own
something to pass on. You gotta have something to pass on.
That is the thing that people don't realize, that you don't own it. All the stuff that you download is not yours, and when you pass away, it goes back to them. You can't pass it on to anyone. So own the physical copy, and it's yours forever. So absolutely, there you go. That's our little preach for the day. But I mean, so as I say, the lyrics, it's just so many of there. They're just so, as you say, thought-provoking and relevant, and it's just incredible, isn't it? It's just on another planet. It's a masterpiece. Definitely, I think it gets 10 out of 10 for me, this track, or 11 out of 10. It's that good. It really is that good, and it's worth buying the album, the whole 3 CDs. Even worth having an Elixir just for that track. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Night Child.
It's the production on this track is just second to none. I just can't keep. I'm going to shut up because I'm going to self-implode.
What have you got to say about it, Jay?
Well, I've got to say, like I said, the swirling atmospheric guitars. It's quite interesting. The beginning of that, there's actually a few bits which are very similar to Dire Straits Brothers in Arms, this kind of noodling guitar and kind of wailing in and out. And I think you've also got to look at the amount of different topics he goes through on, one song. He talks about upload the evolution principle. You see a rock on the shore and say it's always been there. He touches on evolution. He then talks about the master race idea, genetically disposed to rule the world. He then talks about the two-party system, the lesser of two dangers, the illusion of choice. Then he talks about, like I said, the record deal, which is obviously something he's spent his whole life fighting for artist rights. They talk about upload, a joint venture record deal. It's just another way the man can sort of, basically stick you with the bill and you don't get anything. And as you say, download a temporary acquisition of fleeting fame and fortune, nothing to leave in your will. He talks about parenting, about upload a child with no father, download no respect for authority, or upload a child with no mother, download a hard time showing love. And lots of these things, this is in one song, and he touched on about 7 or 8 different social issues. And this is just the lyrics.
It's remarkable.
Goosebumps.
Even if you put the guitars aside and you put the atmosphere aside and how it sounds, the lyrics themselves, the things he's touching on. And the thing I liked about Prince is he very much worked out his philosophy through his music, and it was also work in progress. He was always thinking about new ideas, changing his mind, altering what he's saying. And most people aren't necessarily brave enough to do that in open art, and this has everything in it, so it has something to come back to time and time again. And as you say, it's just as relevant now. There's no question this will be relevant in 10-50 years time, because
so.
this is absolutely, it sounds amazing, but it's also, you talk about the two-party system, you talk about isolated boys and girls. I think you're absolutely right. You talk about racism. These things are concerns now, and they were going to be concerns for a long time. And I love that. I think the point where it comes together is that bit where it talks about, if you look, you're sure going to find through mankind's history a colonized mind, and the one in power makes law, under which the colonized fall. And it's just, there's some really heavy lyrically great stuff going on there. But to put that with the music that he's put that with, to create that atmosphere, and this song, as much as I love it, I almost want it to go on for another 10 minutes.
Of course,
I really do, because I think you're right. I think this is got to be one of the highlights. There's a high bar, but this smashes the bar.
Absolutely.
Do you think it's a highlight of his career though, Jay? Do you hold it in that high regard, or is it just a highlight of this album?
I think so. I think it's up there. I think it frustrates me, because, no offense, if he did this in the 80s, people would be talking about it left, right, and centre. If he did this in 87, I know it's completely mad to say, but say he did it, and it was on Sign of the Times or something, people would go, "Oh my God, this is amazing! This is fantastic! This is brilliant!" And I think the trouble is, people got lazy to his genius. And so, but I think in terms, you've got to put it up there. Certainly in guitar work, I think it's probably one of his more adult feeling songs. It sounds mad, but this is more of a rock.
You're right.
God.
Very mature.
It's not a kind of pop. I don't mean it in a bad sense, but it's not a Raspberry Beret. It's not something like that. It's just something that kind of,
This is someone with something to say, isn't it?
I think this would appeal to a wider audience. Yeah.
A very grown-up song.
Absolutely.
Somebody who was not as commercial as he would have liked. That's irrelevant. No, what am I trying to say here? This is a very grown-up song for him, and it does need to be held in as high regard as the likes of When Doves Cry and Purple Rain and all those other songs that everyone knows and loves. But it needs to be up there. Maybe the lyrics turn people off. I don't know, but music.
Well, yeah.
But then I think you could argue it's a kind of almost like a kind of a noodling, kind of moving, swirling guitar version that has a lot in common with Sign of the Times, not in the sound, but in the sense of he's going through all these social issues. Yes, and when he did it in 87, they were like, "Oh, this is amazing." He's talking about all these social issues, but these lyrics, in lots of ways, are actually deeper.
Absolutely,
this isn't chronicling what's happened. This is talking about what happens and the results of that, and what happens to society, and this is I think lyrically, this is probably some of the best stuff he's done.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. It's so thought-provoking. Sometimes maybe that's what puts people off. People don't want to, think about those things too deep. You'd be frightened of what you might find.
The thing is, you don't even have to agree. I mean, there's loads of people I know who love this song, me included, where you don't necessarily agree with everything he's saying, but the fact he's asking the questions, the fact I've had people talk to me who are very religious, people who talk to me are atheists, and you don't have to agree with, for example, you don't have to agree with the Rainbow Children principles to love the Rainbow Children. And I think he's talking about these issues, and whatever your opinion on them, the fact he's talking about them and expanding his philosophy and doing it in a way that sounds this good, Just amazing.
Because the thing is, one of the lines is, without God, we're just the blind leading the blind. And a lot of people who don't have faith will look at that line and go, well, what's he yakking on about here? But you've got to kind of see through that and look at it from a musician point of view and as a whole piece of work. And what he was trying to say there was, you've got this one side, you've got the other side, both pulling. And if we don't all come together and address these issues, then we are going to be in trouble. So
yeah, absolutely, yeah, absolutely true.
I can't believe this. So honestly, I might just end the video here.
I think that's really also one of the key points when he talks about the lesser of two dangers, the illusion of choice. Because
that's a brilliant line.
Even politics aside, it's kind of saying that the world, we can't look at a binary choice and think that's going to fix all the problems. In a sense, politics aside, it's almost talking about the complicated nature of life, and there's so many things that affect us. It's a very nuanced world, and I think you could honestly, I think you could write an essay about these lyrics. I really do. I really do. I think they're fantastic.
Absolutely.
Dissertation.com.
Yeah, too right. Right, let's move on then. I don't want to, but it's such a great track. But we got to move on to track 6. Feel good, feel better, feel wonderful.
Feel better, feel good, feel wonderful.
Do you guys feel good, feel better?
Yeah, this is an incredible song, and one that maybe could have even opened the album. Although it doesn't set the tone for the album in the earthy guitar work, this is a really good opener of a song. And this man is funky. Come on, this man is funky. There's no two ways about it. I'm not going to make the comparison. This man is funky. There's some serious guitar work, some serious bass, and the horns are just on another level. Yeah. This is a perfect pop song.
Yeah.
But it gets your feet tapping. It gets you dancing. It feels odd. It's a bit of an oddity on the album. It doesn't. I think it gives you a breather. Although you're up on your feet dancing around like a lunatic, it does give you a bit of a breather because what's happened before and what's coming next, if that makes sense. But it is a bit of an oddity, but it's still a very, very strong track. And I defy anyone to give it less than 8 out of 10 just for what's going on there. There's a lot going on. I haven't written a lot about this song because it's just a brilliant pop song that I go listen to it, and then you tell us in the comments what you think. That's it.
Yeah, I've got to say, I'll make a bold claim for this. This is bad, even though Colonized Mind is one of my favorite songs. I actually the song I play most from this album is this song. Wow. This is the song I will play this in isolation. I think it's fantastic. I love the energy of his vocals. I love the lyrics are fantastic. Some of the things that he says, I don't know what you thought when you spat in my face, but this dimension at the time and the place. I love this part where he talks about, I've got a guitar that can part the sea, and this wailing guitar in the background as he says, I've got this
I love that bit.
Part the sea. And he said, it might be the same one that tapped on the crag and brought forth water to quench your thirst, but we'll keep feeding you. But first things first. My favourite line is the part where I don't know what I was thinking when I threw you the ball, it hit 3 bystanders after you touched it. Now they want to sue me, but they love me too much.
I wonder where that line came from. Yeah, I wonder where that came from. Yeah.
Let's groove to the purple rock and roll and the colour of your energy field. I thought this game was over chemical peel. I mean, it's fantastic. This is a bit like Turn Me Loose. I think in the feel of it, it's got that kind of frenetic, pacey feel, and there's loads going on. And this is so upbeat, so funny. This reminds me a little bit of funk as well, in the sense of this is a lyrically heavy song in terms of the amount he's put in there and the fun he's got. And I just think it's funny. It's kind of a bit what's the polite way of saying? Not bitchy, but it's a bit kind of and he's kind of I like it when there's a touch of arrogance and a kind of touch of
swagger
when he's got fire in his belly. He's got something to say.
I think when he's got a point to prove, and I've got another funky trick up my sleeve. It's just it's very much Prince, isn't it? I mean no harm. I still got your back. You can come and drink my wine. As a matter of fact, it's just this idea that he's like. To me, it's summed up very much in the song Funk when he says, I love all y'all, but don't you mess with me no more. And it's just like this. Like I say, I'm funky, I'm amazing, I love you, but I am me. And I love this. And the tap on the crag, the guitar work, I play this more than any other.
It
is fantastic.
There's a lot of great little riffs in this, isn't there? The
There
little
is.
catchy earworms in this that will keep you tapping your foot along.
This is a song where you have to listen to the background quite a bit, and there's lots of things going on, and you could listen to it 10 times. And I've been lucky, I say lucky, a few times when my headphones have malfunctioned, and I've kind of lost one level of it, and you can hear things, and sometimes you hear things in songs that you almost don't appreciate. And this is this is the most listened to song I've on this album for me. But I'm not saying that it's the best one, but I think it's certainly the one. If I want to be cheered up, in a few minutes,
the one to go to.
This is the one to do.
It's a brilliant segue between this album and MPLS. I always think. It sets that album up perfectly well. But this it's a really lively song, and one that if you're going to put together a kind of dance Prince album, it has to be on there, doesn't it? This is a brilliant song. You're right, and you're right. When researching this album, and I listened to this album 4 times on repeat, and this is the album that you go, wow, I don't remember that bit, and it kind of catches you out because the background vocals, as you say, whether they're high or low, and the
I love that.
So much stuff going on. It's bonkers. You need to get yourself a new pair of headphones, Jay.
I'm down to my last 9. What do
99, I thought. Oh dear, what a great track. Oh, well, what can I say? You've said it all already. It is such a great feel good track, as you say. It makes you happy. It's just upbeat. It's brilliant. The music, as you say, there's so much going on in there. Definitely a headphone track. There's not much more I can. You guys have just said it all for that track, really. You really have. It's a great feel good. Prince being a little bit of arrogance, a little bit of cocky swagger, like he does so well, because he was so damn cool and knew it. I know I am the bomb at everything I do, and I can pull it off because I've got it. That is how.
Do you think he really knew it?
Oh yeah.
I think
he was humble with it, but I think.
Oh yeah.
I think there's the odd touch of I think I'm Pretty Man, I walk by the mirror and kiss it twice. It's a little bit of I would call it the Morris Day end of Prince.
No,
absolutely.
I always felt that he knew he was the best. I always thought he knew he was the best there ever was in terms of the way he dressed, in terms of the way he looked, everything. I think he knew he was
there's a famous writer, I think Barney Hoskyns, who did a book on Prince, and he said there's this little smirk he's watched Prince do a few times when he walks off stage, that kind of I've killed him again, I've floored them again, and just that kind of you've got
the classic one, isn't it, is the Guitar Gently Weeps performance, and in the rehearsals he went easy on them, and apparently he went to the rehearsal and he was good, and then Mr. Hayes, he said I killed them on the real performance. He was toying with them, and when he started playing the real performance, they were just all going, oh my god.
What was the award ceremony where he walks out in that gold kind of not gold, that orange peach shiny suit?
Oh
and
yeah,
just kind of swaggers on, just stands there, looks around. The crowd.
Is that the one where he said Black Lives Matter and stuff? That one, wasn't it? Yeah,
and the crowd albums more than they did for the winning album of that year.
I know,
and he kind of just tosses it away and just leaves.
Leave,
man.
I love the fact that often he has to wait so long for the kind of applause to die down that it's almost. But I think you're absolutely right about that guitar solo was just did that guitar ever come down?
No, it's still up there. It's still going. It's still going up there into the stratosphere, man. The Stratocaster's in the stratosphere.
I've got to say that has done so much good, because there's loads of people I know who aren't Prince fans who said, "Oh, did you see this? This is I never knew he could play." And I thought, in terms of introducing the wider public, and it's still one of the, the views it's got on YouTube are massive, because it's been put up there and it's been allowed to stay up there. And people, love it.
Exactly. It's great.
Interestingly, though, it's now been tagged the greatest solo of all time, hasn't it?
Wow. That sounds something.
That's not my words. That's come from music aficionados, or it's come from magazines.
I've seen him play better.
Fame themselves. Oh yeah.
I've seen him play better.
Colonized Mind. Watching that crap.
I love the fact it starts off and he just sort of like edges into view, and then you're like,
yeah, I know. Where's he come from suddenly? You didn't see him at all, and he's just there suddenly. Yeah,
The best
Yeah,
bit
it's
about
just
that
amazing.
is George Harrison's son.
I know. He's just going. He's going. Oh my God! Look at him. Especially when he falls back into the crowd as well.
And the
Still
bouncer,
playing.
yeah.
The bouncer's going. Oh God, push him up. Anyway,
Who is
we're doing a
this
review
guy?
of that performance now. Yeah.